Hello and welcome to today's video. This time we're looking through what I promised to be my final vintage paperback haul of 2024. Now, what a year it's been, and amazingly this was my second haul literally this week, so absolutely insane really. However, this one here, this collection that I picked up recently, is the very tail end of what I picked up from my friend Matt. Oh, must have been back in about May when I picked up that massive collection of 3,500 penguins. So this is the very end of it. So it's the very tail end main series, the tail end of the Puffin collection. We've got Penguin Poetry, we've got Penguin New English Library, which are really nice, Penguin handbooks, and a few assorted things that illustrated classics and bits and bobs, things like that. So we're going to have a look through and unpack the whole lot, because it was another amazing, another 15 boxes. So it filled the car up. But basically, this is the very tail end of that collection, and that's what we're going to be having a look at today. So I do want to say a very, very special thanks to my friend Matt. He's been so generous. We've had a few laughs along the way sorting the collection out, and it's just been amazing, and it's really, really enhanced my penguin collection this year. Something which I never really realized would happen at the start of 2024. Just amazing. Anyway, without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Okay then, so here we go, and I thought before I start moving the boxes in, I'd sort of show you how much I'd filled my car up. So amazingly, managed to get another 15 boxes of books and bits and pieces into my car, and some of these are pretty much how they've come over straight from France, and which is where they've been stored. And as I said at the start, this is the very last part of the collection of my friend Matt's granddad, Alan Swale. And Alan was a lifelong penguin collector, just as we unpack these Penguin New English Libraries. He started collecting, by the look of it, in about 1970-71. One of the trademarks of the collection is that Alan used to put in pencil, thankfully, at the back of each book, he would pop in the place and the date of where he actually picked up the books from. So, which is quite a nice little record. And they were from all over the UK, and lots from like Hay-on-Wye, quite a bit from the West Country, which is where I am from, all over really. And it's a really nice record of what and where the collection came from. So the boxes are slightly out of order. There's some real unusual stuff like that BAM there. That was quite unusual. But this is sort of, I reckon, sort of 1970 to 71, so the very tail end of the books, just as they started to be published with ISBNs, up to, as late as about 80, 81. There's just a couple of books later than that. So certainly these books are not my preferred period of collecting penguins. So what I'm going to be doing, this is a box of Puffin, similar sort of thing, from about 1970 up to 78 or so. What I'm going to do is go through the books. Once they've all been cleaned, I'm going to go through and I'm going to decide on, because post 1970, I really only want sort of the penguin books by authors that I collect or are part of series, or ones which, I particularly like, or have some sort of nostalgia for me, because obviously I was reading Puffins in the 70s myself. So that's how I'm going to approach it, and then all the rest of them are going to be spares. So this isn't an era of Puffin that I'm massively looking to collect, but there will be just a handful in there that I'm going to be wanting to keep. So particular cover artists or authors, things like that. Loads of good stuff in there, as you can see, absolutely stacks of it. So the Arthur Ransom, for example, is one there on the top. I have been keeping the Puffin run of those together because they look quite nice. And anything by Michael Bond, and there's early Womble's books there by Elizabeth Beresford. So that sort of thing. Now, what we're seeing now, Matt had a list of the Penguin handbooks and the Penguin poetry books that I already had. So what you're seeing here, these are the Penguin handbooks and poetry coming up that I didn't already own. So my collection of handbooks and poetry now is going to be pretty close, probably not complete, but pretty close to completion. So what I shall do, I shall obviously get these all cleaned, and then we'll go through my handbook collection as a complete entity, and we'll see which ones I'm missing. So looking forward to honing in on another couple of collections to be virtually complete. As an update to the main Penguin collection, so over on my other channel, I am releasing videos literally every single Saturday as I've been going through the collection. As we film today, I'm up to 2,600 on the collection, so I've got about 500 or 600 to go. But of course, I've since then bought another huge vintage collection with lots of wartime books in. So I'm going to intersperse cleaning these penguins with parts of that other collection to make it a bit more varied. And I'll be putting out at least one cleaning video a week over on my dedicated cleaning channel. And other books which are of interest, sort of, some of the more historical stuff, I will sort of do release on the main channel here, because I think it is all of interest. So these were certainly later stuff here, but there was like Simon and omnibuses and things like that. Definitely of interest. A lot of crime here. Some Chester Himes reprints, some interesting biographies and autobiographies. Quite a bit. Sadly, there was no mid-70s George Orwell's, but the reason why is because they were reprints. They weren't Penguin originals. So all the books that we're seeing here, like there was the complete Reggie Perrin, for example, by David Nobbs. These were all the first time that these books were in paperback. So they're paperback first editions. So that's why they've been picked up. The George Orwells aren't here. The J.G. Ballards weren't part of the collection because Alan didn't pick up reprints. He only picked up first printings. He didn't really pick up books, even if they had different covers and things like that. So that's why they are missing. But yeah, this is a lot of stuff here is much, much later than my particular period, and I shall be moving these on. So that's, I just don't have the room to keep it all. But this is another box of beautiful, beautiful poetry, and these really are nice. And Penguin poetry, even though I'm not really much of a poetry aficionado, and I haven't really read much poetry since English Lit O level, which was many years ago. And I got to admit, the stuff they got us to read was not a lot of fun even back then. I know there's some great stuff there. And it's lovely to have them, and there's some of the most beautiful Penguin books ever produced. Look at those jackets. They are fantastic. It's a superb, superb run. It's just not something that really fires my imagination. But anyway, it is what it is. Now on to some more Penguin fiction and crime, just general stuff. And there's loads of great stuff in here. That Horatio Hornblower book by Northcote Parkinson is fantastic. There will be some doubles in here. There's some obscure crossword books in there. As I said, I won't be keeping those. They're far past my normal period. But certain authors and things like crossword books, I've got a few people in mind who I'm going to offer them to, who've helped me out with books in the past. So I shall be hitting them up. But other stuff, there's lots that I'm just not sure about, and I'm just going to have to check them out. There's a rare science fiction spot there. It's ironically one I've already got, but nice. I think it's a David Pelham cover on that one, the Olaf Stevenson. But there's other good stuff as well. That's Sons of Darkness, Sons of Light. That's another good book, and some of these really are quite culty. So I'm going to look them up and see how we get on. There's some books on bikers and things like that, which are quite good. Obviously, all the Simonons are really nice. Those later ones, where they put them into omnibuses, they're really nice run. But any modern classics I should be keeping, and there's a few of those in there. That's for certain. But I can't believe that I've come back with another 1,000 books, because that's my estimate. That's how many there was in there, which is like, it's just incredible, isn't it? So here's another little run of the larger format, B-format Puffin storybooks. Yeah, held that one up there. Something to collect. Yeah, I always think the B-format Puffin books are much, much harder to get. Generally, though not always, but generally they were the ones produced for younger readers. And they do tend to be the ones that are harder to find in nice condition, and just, I think, harder to find generally. They just, they just don't seem to have been preserved as well as some of the smaller ones. Yeah, amazing stuff though. Lots and lots I've never ever seen before. So really, really pleased to get these, and a lot spotted by some of the cover artists that I really like Victor Ambrose. He's an artist I really like and started working for Puffin around this period. I also spotted that some Peacock books, which have been discontinued by this point because they only released about 100 Peacocks, had moved over to the regular Puffin list, like The Young Hornblower. I think it's called Hornblower Goes to Sea, which is like an abridgment of the first couple of Hornblower books chronologically. And I'd noticed that some of those had ended up in these Puffin storybooks, which I think is quite interesting. The books were obviously good ones that they wanted to keep in print, so they migrated over. And some early fighting fantasy was included, so that's very early 80s. There's a handful of those, which is quite nice to see as well. The Steve Jackson and Ian Livingstone series, which I'm a fan of. I loved them when they came out. And even a copy of You Can Do the Cube, which I remember buying myself in the early 80s. And which was a multi-million seller for Penguin. So now we've got some more Penguin English Library, and as you can see, lots of these are very, very big, thick books, but not to take anything away from them, because these are classics, and this was a bold new direction. Some of these books had come out before as part of the Penguin main series. Some of them, this was the first time Penguin had got their hands on them, and a lot of these would eventually become sort of the black-spined classics. But these ones here are, well, it's an incredible mix. You can see at the top there, Herman Melville's Moby Dick. I believe that's the first time that Moby Dick was published by Penguin, and what a good book it is too. I don't feel like I've read anything like as many classics as I should have, but often the classics, there's a reason that they are classic, is because they're so good. And something like Moby Dick, well, I heartily recommend that one. Now, this is the first box of Peregrine books, and Peregrine is a sort of a highbrow literary imprint, which once again fizzled out towards the end of the 1960s, and it's one I've never ever bothered to pick. I've picked them up when I've seen the books for £1 or less when I've been out and about, and they have to be tip-top shape. So I had a handful. I had 5 or 6 or so, and well, Matt's granddad being Matt's granddad and being a Penguin completist, he had an absolutely incredible run of them. So they'd spanned 2 boxes, and here they are. And you don't often see runs of Peregrine around. The last time I saw any in great numbers was at a Penguin show best part of 30 years ago, and there was a guy just on the way in doing a bit like this with another chap, unpacking a box of them. So I don't know what the deal was being done there, but I do sort of, that was the last time I ever saw somebody in one hit. And once again, I mean, it's collecting by the numbers, and what a lot there were. And this is like the tail end of them, I believe. Yeah, this is yet more Peregrines. Now, I am suffering with table space now, so I'm doing this in the kitchen, literally on the same day that I actually picked the books up. So they, I was starting to struggle just a little bit. And then I had to pack them all back up. Once they'd been sorted, I had to pack them all back up and store them in my studio, where they've thankfully fitted. But I am now truly at capacity with the collection I bought earlier in the week. So in the new year, the stuff that I've fully cleaned and filmed and is done, which is non-Penguin, I'm actually going to get into storage. So I'm going to have to rent a storage compartment until we move house. So for the next couple of years, that's going to be the plan. So now yet another box of fiction, some nice Chester Himes. So initially the books were published in the UK by Panther, I believe. Evidently he moved over to Penguin, who've still got them to this day. So they might be the Penguin first editions, but not the British paperback first editions. But there's 3 or 4 Chester Himes in there, and that's an example of an author I will keep, because he's eminently readable, really, really great author. And in fact, he's got good editions throughout his publishing history, to be honest. He's one of those authors that's been treated very well by publishers. Lots of good anthologies. There's even some King Penguins in here, but later King Penguins, when they revived the name to sort of compete with things like Picador. This was a 2-book box set. Didn't know that was going to be in there. Very unusual, that one. And then some books that you might be familiar with, Superwoman. I mean, that was a huge, huge seller for Penguin, but not the sort of thing I should be keeping. Even some of the crime, if it's by authors that I don't really enjoy, I'm just going to be moving those on. I don't really want them at all, and I reckon I'll have a few boxes that will be not being kept, because you just cannot keep it all. You've got to draw the line somewhere, and when we're in the realms of ISBN, that line is very much drawn. So I should be very, very selective. The books need to be authors I like, nice editions, and in tip-top condition, or else they will be moved on. But there is a lot of good stuff there, so I shall still be relatively selective. Another box of crime by the looks of it. Everyone a winner there, look at that. Chester Himes, Patricia Highsmith, all good stuff. But I am we're towards the end now, and I am very, very much struggling for space. But you got to laugh, and yeah. So some people may say I need help. That, but the thing is, it's just not every day that you get collections like this come your way, and the fact that I had a little bit of Eric Gadd's collection as well the same week, it just poured a little bit of fuel on the fire, really. But I had room. It wasn't like I literally got no room. I did have room for this, but I am pretty much now back to full capacity again after having moved quite a bit of stuff. So it is worth pointing out that there is the next Zardoz book fair, which is at All You Need Is Books, at their £1 retail shop. It's going to be a Sunday in February. I haven't got the exact Sunday yet, but that's when it's going to be. So as soon as I've got the dates for that Sunday in February, when the next Zardoz fair will be, I will obviously share it on the channel, so you can maybe plan a trip down to Dilton Marsh in Wiltshire, because the actual event itself is in Morris's £1 retail store, which is incredible, and there's an awful lot to see, and I shall be having a couple of tables there. Dorset Bob will be there, and Steve the Outlaw Books will be there, so there's going to be stacks of stuff that you might want to get your hands stuck into. And here we are then. So to finish off, here's a little tour of the table after I've unpacked everything. I do hope you've enjoyed looking through this latest book haul, and if you've seen anything you particularly want, do give me a shout, because as I said, a fair bit of this I'll probably end up moving on at some point. I'm happy to keep any wants on file. Once again, thank you to my friend Matt for allowing me to purchase just so much of his granddad's collection. I do feel very honoured and privileged to have had that opportunity, so thank you very much again for that, Matt. Just look at it. It's just amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. So, of course, if you've enjoyed today's video, do please hit that subscribe button. Do please give the video a like if you have enjoyed it. And I shall no doubt see you again very soon with another video, either on this or my dedicated cleaning channel if you've not checked that one out, to see these being put through the process. Till next time then, bye.